Good evening, everyone. It's time to start the board meeting for Monday, March 9th, 2015. Kathy, may we have a roll call, please?
Okay. Odom?
Here.
Carroll? Marks?
Present.
Langston?
I'm here.
Simmons?
Here.
Lunsford?
Present. The quorum is present. First on the agenda, we have student recognition. Mr. Duster.
Yes, thank you. We will start out with the chess team. If we get Mr. Neminsky, please call the students up.
Well, Parker does have a chess team, and we just concluded a very fantastic season. We only lost one match the entire year, and that's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So as a whole, the team had a very good year. At conference, the team did very well, with 7th grade taking first place. 8th graders came in a very close second, and 6th grade took third. So we had a very nice conference meet. Recently at the IESA State Chess Tournament, Parker chess players went down there and did a fantastic job representing our school district. We'll talk about what place they came in a second, but I do want to note their excellent sportsmanship. They exemplify the characteristics we ask of our student athletes, our student participants. They did a fantastic job. In 7th grade, they finished 10th overall in state, and 8th grade finished 11th. Two of our players took home bronze medals. They were Perry Hogue and Eric Piros. So the season was a wonderful success. If Perry and or Eric are here, I'm looking, I don't see them. We're going to have them come forward. Are there any members of the chess team here tonight?
Yes.
We're going to take the people, the young men who are here.
One more? Okay.
We got one more.
Perry.
Perry.
Come on up, guys. You want to start here? We're going to shake hands and
What's your name? Congratulations.
Great job. Congratulations. Thank you.
At this time, I would also like Mr. Neminsky to recognize Ms. Burns.
I have Barbara Burns, please come up here and stand by me. At Parker Junior High School a couple of months ago, we had 35 students who tried out for the geography bee. Barbara Burns was the one who won at the school level. She recently traveled, and she took the state qualifying test and was one of 100 students statewide that qualified for the for the statewide geography state team. She will next go to the College of DuPage on Friday, March 27th, where she will attempt to qualify nationally. Over 5.5 million students across the country attempt to qualify for the geography bee, and Barbara's one of the 100 here in the state of Illinois. We're going to wish her well on the 27th and hope that she can qualify nationally. So this is Barbara Burns.
Okay, good. Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Naminsky. And our next student recognition will be Miles Walker. If we have Ms. Kramer come up and say a few words.
Good evening. Miles has an extensive spelling bee participation history in District 161. In 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, he earned his place to compete in the Heather Hill School spelling bees by being one of the top scorers in the written test each year. As a 5th grader, Miles won the Heather Hill bee, which qualified him for our district bee, competing against other 5th graders as well as 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. He won that district bee, and as our champion, moved on to the South Cook ISC bee. At the South Cook bee, the top 3 spellers proceed on to the regional bee. In his first year at the South Cook ISC bee, although he didn't place in the top 3, Miles did a fine job representing Flossmoor District 161. As a 6th grader at Parker Junior High, Miles qualified to participate in the District B, and for the 2nd consecutive year, he won the District B. Competing for the first time at the South Cook ISCB, Miles placed 4th, just missing the chance to proceed to the regional competition. In 7th grade, Miles competed again in the District B, and this year, as an 8th grader, he competed once again in our District B held on January 15th. Miles won our District B this year, and again proceeded to the South Cook ISC B for the 3rd time. And you know what they say about the 3rd time, right? This time he won 1st place, which qualified him to move on to the Scripps Regional Metropolitan Spelling Bee held on February 9th. The Regional Bee was held just a few weeks ago on February 19th. Miles did an unbelievable job. It was an exciting but painful ending when the bee concluded with him earning 2nd place, narrowly missing the opportunity to compete in Washington, D.C. at the Scripps National Spelling Bee. Burying his disappointment, Miles proved his character to everyone attending that evening. I wish each of you could have seen this young man stand up at the end of the competition, shake the hand of the winner, and walk from the stage with his head held high. We honor Miles tonight not only for his excellent performance and unwavering persistence, but most importantly, for representing himself, his family, and District 161 with maturity and class.
I'd like to once again congratulate all of your students on behalf of the board, just say how proud we are of you.
We would like to thank all of our parents that are here that brought their children. We greatly appreciate our parents of our chess team, Mr. and Mrs. Walker. In addition, Mr. and Mrs. Burns, thank you very much, and we appreciate it. Thank you for supporting us.
We'll move ahead in our agenda. We recognize the students have homework to do, so please don't feel compelled to stay. If you would like to, you're more than welcome to. Next on the agenda are audience comments. We don't have anyone who signed up for audience comments, so we'll move forward to the superintendent's report. Mr. Dustin.
Thank you. I have 5 things this evening to share with the board. First of all, of course, is our dashboard. And we're holding steady, and we're looking at our numbers as we're getting ready for staff assignments for next year, but they're staying steady as they have been for the whole year. Number 2, the PTO Wizards game that took place on March 1st. There was many people that were there throughout the community. It was an excellent activity that took place. It was a lot of fun, so I appreciate everyone being there. And at our next meeting, we'll go ahead and we will have a board salute, if that's all right with the board, for the PTO in regards to all of the efforts that they put forth. It was a blast. So a lot of the parents had fun, and kids definitely enjoyed it. Number 3, park testing. We started park testing, and the technology is working well. So that is one of the positives for that. Our students, as we're going around, we're looking at the complexity of the test. We're finding that some of our students are getting through it quickly, some take a little bit more time, and others are taking the entire time of doing that, which is about 75 to 90 minutes. We have some students that are not completing it at the time. This is common. I've spoken with other superintendents. It's still the same thing, or the same thing is taking place in the schools. So as we looked at it and we discussed, there was one part, it was in the ELA test, where there is a sub box where you can type into it, and it only goes down 5 to 6 lines. You can continue down, it'll scroll down so you can continue to write. However, if you have to copy and paste that, it's hard for kids to maneuver and manipulate that. And so we've sent information to the state already about that. We believe that's a software flaw. They have asked us things of that nature. So that stuff we're sending down, but the kids, they're doing well. The technology is fine, so we will continue with that. Next is spring break. Just letting the board know that March 30th is spring break. That'll last till the 6th. We'll come back on Tuesday the 7th. And then lastly is we have board reorganization after elections. So according to the rules, we have to reorganize on or before May 5th. Our board meeting is on May 11th. So my question is this: does the board want to schedule a special board meeting to do this? Or do you want to move the May 11th board meeting up a week? It's going to be right after the cow meeting, but it'll be moved up 1 week to the 4th for the reorganization to take place.
Yeah, I think we should.
The 4th?
And that would be things out in the next week or previous board meeting. That's my choice to move it up. So.
Okay.
Same time, 7 on
Do 7:30 on the 4th.
the 4th. Perfect.
And the existing board would finish up any business, and then the new board would be seated, is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. Let's check.
So move it to the 4th? All right. Okay, any questions?
I was just wondering if you could just apologize to us for that earphone you shot.
Yeah, then he kept asking me to keep shooting. Yeah.
We'll give you a pass for that. I won't be as cool as Mrs. Langston.
Thank you for enduring that
Yes, that was
for us.
That was fun. So they were good.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda are the consent agenda items. We have minutes that need to be approved for prior board meetings, as well as a gift from Bob O'Hearn. We thank everyone who gives gifts to the district. We really appreciate your generosity. Were there any comments, questions before we get going? I had some comments about the minutes. I shared them with Ms. Perino. I don't know if other people had comments about the minutes that they would like to discuss prior to us moving forward.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe we can not approve them at this meeting and give Ms. Perino a chance to maybe read over them, because as I read over them, they were just a few I don't know, maybe it was talked too fast, or there were too many conversations going on, but in some areas it just didn't flow. Some of the statements that were made kind of stopped in the middle of a statement, so I don't know if she might just want time to read them over and
Ms. Briggs?
That's something, because I was thinking there's a lot of comments in there that, you know, I remember the way it's written, that's not what was said. There's even a comment I had made that I had no idea where that fit into the conversation or what I had said. So again, maybe it's the conversation was too enriched and it was just hard to follow, but I think that I would certainly support giving Ms. Brino a chance to sort of look at them again, because it's, and in terms of the Cal meeting where we looked at some possible expenses, I think that we really need to look at those bullet points with the commentary, because otherwise it's just really out of context. And again, there's lots of things that I heard people say that, you know, like half the sentence was caught and then the more meaningful part of the sentence was lost completely. So I would definitely think that's a great idea that Ms. Langston had suggested.
So everyone okay with that? And then we can independently send Ms. Carino our comments or any things we think are in need of change. And we can approve these at the next meeting. Maybe we approve these at the, well, we don't have to count this month. We'll approve this at the next business meeting.
Is it possible to pull out minutes that you all would agree to, so we don't hold them up from public view until next month? Or there's some here from January.
You know,
is that the one you want to hold? Is
you know what,
January 28th?
I'm actually would.
Are there?
I would not approve any of the minutes from the special board meeting, because I think those are still, you know, kind of ambiguous and incomplete. Although there's a lot more information there. The minutes from February 9th and the Cal from G23. I would not be willing to approve those at this time period. I would like Ms. Brino to get a chance to look at them again.
I understand, but there are there's February 9th.
That's it.
We have the executive session minutes. That's it.
The executive session, we're fine.
So can we pull those out?
So I'll entertain a motion to accept. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Those minutes from the 28th are 11 pages long. So are the board going to send suggestions, or how's that?
Well,
how
let
do you
me
want to
ask
do that?
this question. What, maybe we need to clarify our purpose here. What exactly is the purpose of the minutes? What's our end product here? Is it that we want a record to understand what the dialogue was? Is it to have some sort of record as to what we're talking about? Is it that we are leaving a trail of breadcrumbs to sort of find out where decisions went over the course of a year? I mean, I guess that's something that, because what I've seen is that over the course of the last year and a half, it seems like the minutes are becoming a little bit more inconsistent with the information that is in there. And I kind of, you know, I read a lot of student papers, so I mean, perhaps I'm pushing it as a teacher where I'm saying, you know, this is becoming less and less concise about what matched up with what we were talking about in the board meetings. A couple weeks ago, just even with the evaluation, it said that, you know, Greg Lunsford had said this, when it turned out that I knew for a fact that's not what he said, and then we want to correct that. So maybe we need to first start off with a conversation of exactly what we want the board minutes to say, or what's the purpose of it. You know, in the community engagement piece or the workshop rather that I went to with IASB, it really looked at the minutes as a crucial information piece for the community. Now, if that's not our perspective, that's something I think we should discuss at some point. But for now, I would suggest, you know, if we could revise those, I would be happy with it.
I make a motion to table the minutes until the next board meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So, do you want to approve the executive session minutes? Okay.
Is that the motion she
My
would like?
motion was for all.
For all minutes? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the gift made to the district
So moved. I'm sorry.
Okay, Mrs. Langston and Mrs. Carroll, Mr. Paredes. May we have a roll call, please, Kathy?
Simmons,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Marks,
For the gift, yes.
Langston,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, the motion passes. Next on the agenda is approval of the bills. Mrs. Odom had the bills for this month. Mrs. Odom, the floor is yours.
I make a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $1,137,423.30.
Second, Mrs. Langston. We have a roll call, please, Kathy.
Okay, Paredes,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Langston,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, and the motion passes. Next on the agenda is approval of the payroll for the month of February. We have a recommendation from the administration to approve the payroll in the amount of $1,368,715.00. I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation as made by the administration. Mrs. Langston and Mrs. Odom, we have a roll call, please, Kathy.
Okay, Marks,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Langston,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, and the motion passes. Next on the agenda, let's see, payroll, is the approval of the engineering consulting services contract. Mr. Duster, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. We, the cow, by not having that in March, that's why we brought this information to you right now. And there will be information bids being brought at the April 13th meeting too, so we can meet the timelines, or the construction timeline. But at this time, I would like Mr. Sashak to come up and discuss briefly this point. I know that we have Mr. Regal here too as assistants, but if you could explain real quickly to the board about this. And
you want to, we're talking about the engineering proposals for the borders and
these are the boards.
surveys.
No, the first one is EHC industrial asbestos.
No, first is
Marchese
engineering
Son.
consultant.
The what?
First is engineering consultant.
No. Okay, yes, the boards are first, and then it'll be the asbestos.
I can speak to that very
Okay.
briefly if that's okay.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Let's see, okay, please go ahead.
Good evening. What you have in front of you, I believe, are the proposals for the engineering services for the parking lot projects at Serena and Flossmoor Hills. And the first proposal is for the soil testing services that will be required in order to confirm the soil conditions for placement of new paving. And the proposal for that work is $4,300 for both sites. The second proposal is from Marchese Son for the survey work that's required for both of the sites as well. And we need this information basically to provide the design drawings so that we can then go to bid, as Mr. Duster mentioned, and come back in a couple months with a recommendation for award, or a month, I should say.
Okay, are we within budget with these?
These are both reasonable numbers, and we got a number of proposals for both of the scopes of services, so we're comfortable with these figures.
Are there any questions from the board before we go forward?
When you say a number of proposals, how many would that be?
We had two for the engineering. I think we had 2 or 3 for the survey. I'm not sure exactly the number.
These were publicly announced.
They were solicited, they're professional services, so what we did was we solicited them from consulting firms that we've worked with and actually done work in the district in the past. ECS hasn't been involved over at the Parker Edition right now, and I think they were involved last summer in the work we did over there as well, and Marchese did the surveys of both the Parker project as well as for the parking lot project out here, if I'm not mistaken.
Any other questions or comments? Not, I'll entertain a motion to start by approving the engineering consulting services proposal for $4,300. Mr. Paredes, is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Marks, roll call please, Kathy.
Okay, Paredes,
Yes?
Odom,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Langston,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, and the motion passes. Next, I'll entertain a motion to accept the proposal by Marchese Son in the amount of, is it $9,000 total?
No,
$6,000 total. Okay. Now I'll make the motion. Is there a second? Mrs. Odom, roll call please, Kathy.
Okay, Langston,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, and the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the second reading and approval of revised policies. Asbestos, excuse me. Please, Mr. Besser.
Thank you. Mr. Zajac, you can come up and explain this, our alternate bids as well as the base bid.
Thank you. EHC Industries Incorporated is the low bidder for our abatement work we perform at Parker. Rooms 56 and 57 have a base bid total of $30,100, with alternate number 1, which is room 58, at $4,975, and alternate number 2, which is room 59, at $6,925, for a total not to exceed cost of $42,000. Any question on the work that needs to be performed?
It's the standard for budget, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation as presented. Second, Mrs. Langston. Any questions before we ask for roll call? Roll call, please, Kathy.
Okay, Langston,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, and the motion passes. Next on the agenda is the revised policies. Mr. Guster.
Yes, these are the policies that we had first reading on during our committee of the whole meeting, and we're recommending second reading and approval. They're just basically revisions of policies that we currently have.
And once again, these are revisions as suggested by the press.
By the press.
Go ahead, Mrs. Langston.
I have a question with respect to 2:140, it's the first one.
Mhm.
So it says, individuals may submit questions or communications for the board's consideration to the superintendent. And then it says, in accordance with the Open Meetings Act and the oath of office taken by board members, individual board members will not, A, reply to an email on behalf of the entire board. That leaves me a little uncomfortable because I know in the past, our board president has responded to emails on our behalf. So I'm wondering if they're specifically saying that if an email comes in, then we all should not be responding because it's violating the Open Meetings Act? Or are they saying that the president doesn't have the authority to respond to an email on behalf of the board? Because that's not the way it was historically. So do you have any guidance on what exactly they're saying?
When asked this question in the past, for example, snow days, if I send something out, we're going to have a snow day or a cold day, then that information goes out, and if you directly send that back to me, then that information is for me individually.
Right.
If there's a conversation that's taking place on email, then with 3 or more board members, then that would constitute a violation of Open Meetings Act.
Right, and that I know, and that wasn't my question. I'm wondering if this policy is limiting the authority of the board president. So if Mr. or Mrs. Smith send an email to the board asking a question, historically, the board president
Right, would respond.
has responded. The way that this is worded makes me think that they're saying now the board president can no longer respond as the representative of the board as he or she has done historically. So I'm asking if that's what this intention is, or if this is just specifically us communicating and violating the Open Meetings Act. It's not, is your opinion that it's not really limiting the power of the president to respond on our behalf?
No, I don't think that at
Okay.
all. So if a parent sends something to the whole board, the president should respond
Right.
back succinctly to that person.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were keeping that. Because you see how it said, no one should respond like that? Doesn't make sense. Okay, and then I had a
That is,
question.
I can double check on that, but that is my understanding.
And that would be my understanding, because that's what we've done in the past. That wording stood out to me. Then I had a question about one more.
I can say that I did speak with our district attorney about 214, 2140.
Okay.
And he had no problems with the way it was drafted.
Okay. And then there's one more. I should have written down a number. 15 seconds. It is 6:280. And actually, the part that I have an issue with is not been changed, but it says that the decision to promote a student to the next grade level shall be based on successful completion of the curriculum, attendance, and performance on the Illinois Park or other assessments. I'm a little uncomfortable with, even though it said ISET before, but I'm a little uncomfortable with Park being in there because, Park is a mystery at this point. We don't know what it's going to look like. And so we can put it in there. I just want to make sure that I voice my opinion that I don't want our students promoted or held back because of how they perform on Park. That makes me uncomfortable.
Right, we don't have anything as far as holding them back. It's the same way with ISAT.
Okay.
We're not holding back for that. We look at the curriculum.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I think they put that in there because ISAT.
Yeah. That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to accept the modifications to the policies as presented by the administration. Mr. Paredes, second by Mrs. Odom. May we have a roll call, please, Kathy?
Okay, Odom?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Langston?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes. Next on the agenda is the transportation contract renewal. Mr. Jester.
Yes, this has been interesting dealing with. There's two parts of this. Tonight, what I'm recommending is approval of the contract from the board, and then there's a second part to it. After discussion at the COW meeting with the escalator cost, I called the company back and I asked them if what they were willing to do to negotiate to delete that escalator cost. So what we decided on doing, he started out with a lot higher number, of course. We were able to bring it down to 193 for the first year, 203 for the second year, and 213 for the third year of the contract. And the escalator cost was at 250. Anything over 250, the district had to pay for. If there was anything under the 250, then they would reimburse us. At the time when this was sent out on Thursday, diesel fuel was 147. Today, I heard that it was 252. So the $3 that we have, you have to be mindful that within the next 3 years, if fuel goes up to $5, we're not responsible for that. So we are only responsible for a flat fee of $193 for regular education amounts.
Irrespective of the cost of gas.
That is correct. So, but the board, I want you to know, if it goes to $1.50 a gallon, then, which probably won't happen, we lose $1.50, or they would gain $1.50 from us. Okay, that's the first thing.
Just a question. So they went from 180 to 193 to remove that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it probably would end up costing more with the fuel escalator. Okay. The second part of the contract, or the, not contract, but this part, we had a discussion about the routes. We've gone over and over these routes, and I contacted Homewood 153 as well as the high school. And Homewood 153, as you know, they have attendance centers, and they have 13 total routes in their school district. And what they do, James Hart averages 42 students per route, Millennium's average is 50 students per route, Churchill averages about 35, and then Willow is 58. Their average time on a bus is 35 to 38 minutes. Homewood Flossmoor High School, they have a total of 22 routes, average of 50 to 56 students per bus, and their average allotted time is about 25 to 30 minutes. Currently, our students are on the bus, and it ranges from 12 to about 20 minutes a route. What we've added to this, there is a reduction of 8 regular ed routes. And then the IJP route, right now we only have 10 kids riding. We can put those children on one of our elementary buses, so that would reduce another route. It would be combined. And then Parker, if we wanted to, it could be a reduction of 1 route. So it would go from 15 routes they have now to 14. That'd be a total of 10. If we did not touch Parker, we would be able to reduce 9 routes. The 9 routes that we would reduce, that's on the next pages. So if you look at Flossmoor Hills, the current routes are 10 to 15 minutes long. The proposed route estimate would be 25 to 30 minutes long. And we dropped, that's Flossmoor Hills. We would drop it from 4 to 2 routes, with one route having 44 students on the bus, and the other route having 36 students on the bus. The next would be Heather Hill. Heather Hill currently has 5 routes, and if we were to reduce those, we could reduce it to 2. One would have 48 students, the other one would have 41 students, so we drop that to 2. Serena Hills, that currently has 4. We could drop that to 3, and that would put 30 to 33 students on a route. And then Western Avenue, what that would do is reduce from 6 to 4 routes, and the most would be 48 students on one bus. The lowest would be 35, the other 2 are 38 and 41. Our buses are 71 passenger, 71 capacity and passenger capacity. So that change of those routes of 9, excluding the junior high, because there's a concern that the junior high would have to be picked up earlier. I don't know if that would be true or not. That would be something I would have to look at earlier than what they're being picked up now. But the savings of 9 routes would be about $300,000. The question that I still have not solved yet, or I'm still working on it, is what time would those elementary students be picked up? So that is my next thing to discuss. My question for the board is this: at the last meeting you had asked for community input on this. Would you like me to send out a survey first and then have a meeting, or how would you like me to do that? I'm real comfortable with these numbers, and I'd like your input on these numbers that are present.
I think sending out a survey would give parents at least an opportunity to think about it before they came to a meeting.
Okay.
And then certainly following the meeting, if we had some sort of lead behind where they could have an exit survey, might be helpful.
I question if responses will be different. You're responding to a survey and you don't have the benefit that we have of hearing you say this. would prefer having a community forum where you explain what the routes would be, what it would mean in terms of timing, what the start time would be, and then having a community discussion.
I find the benefit of doing both in first they see it, they read it, they get the information ahead of time, can't say that they didn't know because it's going home with them. And then having the opportunity to come to a meeting. They know what the meeting is, they know what the information is and what their complaints will be, versus having a meeting where we send out an announcement and people don't really understand the impact of this meeting. They'll see the numbers, they'll see the increase in the time from 10 to 15 minutes on the bus to 25 to 30 minutes. I think that's going to be the biggest complaint. One of the routes for Heather Hill increasing to 48 students alone is, you know, something that I know a parent would go 48 kids, even if it's 71 capacity. You're imagining, you know, them going from a 10-person route to a 48 students on one bus with one bus monitor. So giving them an opportunity to see it, read it, read the information, ask the questions, and then come and hear it. And I mean, will basically give us their verbal feedback would be beneficial.
So maybe to that, what we should be thinking about is pushing out an informational piece first, and then having a discussion and presentation, and then a follow-up survey afterwards.
Or you could send out the information with the survey that says, this is what we are thinking about doing. Digest this information. Once you've done that, give us your feedback in this survey, and then on this date, we're going to have a forum where parents can come and you know, give us their input on how this will affect their children, whether they support it or whether they don't support it. Yeah, I just think giving them the information, they need to get the information in their hands. And then I think the benefit of the survey is having some concrete idea of what they feel about it before they're all standing in the meeting, because how many people are going to have the opportunity to express themselves at the meeting?
Okay. So I can send, I'll put together a cover letter and I'll put together a survey on it. We can email that to all of our parents and then set up a community forum for people to come in and share and give information. That sound okay?
Do we envision any supportive comments for this proposal or this idea coming from the parents?
I think if it's presented to the parents in the proper way, we may, because if the parents can see that there is a benefit, that this isn't just some arbitrary thing that we're trying to do. We're doing this because, you know, this is what finances look like in the future for our state, and what we're trying to do is be fiscally responsible. So this may be uncomfortable, but this is why we're doing it. So can you support it if you understand why we're doing it? I think that I can honestly see some parents saying, all right, you know what, I don't really like the fact that my student has to get up 10 minutes earlier, but if it's saving the district $300,000, that's $300,000 they can put towards something that's going to help my student academically, then okay, I'll deal with that 10 minutes. It's just how we present the information. That's why Ms. Harrell, since this is her area of expertise, is always pushing us to get ahead of these things and to, it's easier to get someone on your side and explain it to them before you make the decision, as opposed to making a decision and then saying, okay, can you support it? I don't know.
Should we include the surrounding districts' information that was presented as context in the survey, or just do that at
I think give them all the info. Like I would say give them everything that we have that says, this is why we're doing this. We look at other districts, and this is what they do, and this is how much money it'll save, and this is how we're going to make sure that we're thinking about what time the students are actually going to be getting out there. If we give them all of that, now, yes, the parents not going to look through it and digest it, but at least they have it, so those parents that, you know, want to make an informed decision, they have the information there. I think this is, and it may, you know what, it may blow up in our faces. They may all, parents may come and say, I don't want it, I don't care what your reasons are, but those parents are going to say that whether we gave them the opportunity to speak or not, so.
No, I think it goes beyond parents as stakeholders, right? So the conversation.
My next question is how broad
right,
do you distribute the information in the survey?
the conversation shouldn't be limited to parents. Only 20–30% of the individuals in the district actually have kids in the district, and it should be a broader community discussion.
I think this is going to be our test case.
Okay, so there's two different things. I can send things out to parents very easily, but the whole community will have to bulk mail all that.
I think the form, if that's the direction we decide to go, the form for sure would be a very broad invitation to all stakeholders in our district boundaries. And the communication or the invitation would be, I don't know, through the village newsletter, the newspaper advertisement, something along those lines, or even more than that, because we would want to solicit input from everybody we serve.
Now, this raises a question that I have. So, in terms of our timeline, the numbers that we have here with respect to the contract are based on us reducing the reps. Or, so the contract with Positive Connect, if we leave it like it is now, it's still going to be the same numbers.
That's correct.
Okay, so then how does that happen? Then we're...
It's a number per route. So
oh, I think so.
It's
still 193 per route. It's just the number of routes we have. Okay, thank you.
And that is to drive from point A to the school. And so the route, regardless of
how many
stops they make, how many kids they pick up along the way, that is 193, still 193.
For morning and afternoon.
For morning and afternoon.
Right. So if they're driving for an hour, for 30 minutes, it's the same 193. If they're driving for 30 minutes and they're stopping 17 times, it's 193. If they're driving for 10 minutes and they're stopping 5 times, it's 193.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Then my other question, I'm sorry, you said that you don't know about what time the kids will be picked up at. Do you have an idea, or maybe Pam can tell us, what time are what's the earliest time that elementary students are picked up now? Not per route, just in our whole district, what's the earliest time that a 161 student gets on the bus?
7:50.
7:50. So we can kind of anticipate if we're doing 30 minutes, then that would be 7:30-ish.
No, because some of those routes are with Parker routes. So the Parker routes you have to drive off by 7:30.
7:30 they off.
They're driving out the Parker at 7:30. If they're going to do an elementary, it would be 7:35, 7:40.
Oh, okay. So we're, okay, so
7:40.
conceivably it's 7:40. But, and the Parker kids, if we don't change them, they're whatever time they come in. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I have a quick question. What is the average wait time between when the bus pulls up to the school and the kids go into the school? Is it that they show up in like 5 minutes? Okay, kids, get out and get in the door, or are they out the bus for a while? Or
no. They're off those buses like the door open and that's it.
We try to get them off as quickly as we can, especially during the cold weather.
Right.
2-3 minutes at the most, closer to 2 probably.
I know I've seen them when I'm waiting. I've seen them sitting, like they'll pull up a Heather before the 8:05 when the students can go in, and the students, but it won't be long. And then as soon as 8:05 hits, then they start jumping off.
I mean, I'm just trying to think in terms of if they're there like 10, 15 minutes, you know, can we narrow that down so that kids don't have to be picked up as early in the middle of winter?
They're getting there right. They're getting there pretty much, well, the school that I want.
We have to look at that. That's the one thing I don't have yet.
The other question I have is that, and I don't know how this would, again, the 193 is the 193. What would the travel time be if there were just less stops or more consolidated? Like, so kids walked like an extra block to the stop? I mean, I don't know anything about the bus routes, so I'm not.
That's what we've done with these, what you have in front of you. That's narrowing down. They're stopping. all over, in front of people's houses, things
That's
of
what
that
we're doing
nature.
now.
That's what we're doing today, yes. That is something we want to get away from. So, you wouldn't be walking a tremendous amount, but.
I think that's something else we should include in, because I don't see that in the information that we had, how far these students would be walking. Because if you're not familiar with these areas, like, you don't know how far a student has to walk to get on the bus that ends all in Hampton. So I think that would be some information that we would need to know. Because I just been thinking about the little kids and.
Yeah, go ahead.
193 reflects the removal of the uncertainty with regards to the fuel prices.
That's correct.
But it represents an increase over where we're at now. But my understanding is that some of the other local districts, or at least one that's going out for bid right now, a full public bidding process, the lowest bids are coming in closer to 220 or so.
Yeah, right now, Bloom, they have a board meeting and they're going to approve their lowest bidder. And the information I have, it's around $219 right now.
219.
Around.
So that's the risk that this board faces if we don't approve the bid to kind of extend it at a smaller increase as we go out to bid, and we have limited responders and/or those responders come back with a much higher per route bid, and we're then forced to take the lowest qualified bid there. And that could result in something closer to $220 a route.
Yeah, and I can't say for sure.
We don't know
for
sure.
Right, but that's what the market is demanding.
Okay.
I think that's an excellent point, but also is Bloom, which is a different community, is that based on a longer travel time or a longer amount of time that the bus is on the road, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know what their specs are.
Just one example.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have no knowledge of it.
Any other questions? If not, I'll ask for a motion. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the bus contract as recommended by our administration and follow the community forum. Mr. Paredes. Is there a second? Mrs. Odom, roll call please, Kathy.
Okay, Marks?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Langston?
No.
Paredes?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes. Next on the agenda is approval of baseball and softball and Scholastic board. Mr. Duster.
Yeah, we brought this forth at our last meeting, and there was a request from the board in regards to the expenses, in regards to comparisons. And I'm going to have Mr. Brozinski, our athletic director, come up and discuss it real quick.
Is that like other duties as a sign?
And basketball ref, we learned.
That's right.
Oh, that's another lifetime.
You didn't call many fouls.
No, I collect them all when I called them on you when you played.
Touche.
Never that. Basically, one of the board members asked what would the cost be compared to other sports. So, and unfortunately I didn't think of it at the time, the reason why baseball and softball were much higher than those sports was the first year cost of equipment and uniform. Mr. Duster, I believe, has given you a document that would show the approximate cost for what they would be without the uniforms, without the equipment, and what they would be per pupil.
It was $285 for baseball the first year, $100 the second year.
Right.
Same for softball. Basketball currently is $150, and volleyball is $133. Scholastic Bowl was $53 the first year. The second year was $17.
But if I'm understanding your memo correctly, in the second years, baseball and softball are actually less expensive than basketball and volleyball?
That's correct.
That's based on less games played in the conference. And that means, therefore, less away games, less busing, home games, less umpire cost. And it could vary depending how far we go in tournaments. We have now played one regional volleyball. A couple years ago, we went downstate in basketball, and that then increases the cost, but it's great publicity for the district also, and for our students. Yeah, gotta do.
Any other questions?
Well, I appreciate the effort made by the administration to find positive activities for our students. We know a number of them have expressed an interest, as well as people in the community, to have baseball and softball. I will make a motion to accept the recommendation that was made by the administration. Is there a second? Okay. Second, Mrs. Odom. Questions, Mr. Paredes, and then Mrs. Langston.
Okay, I have just a suggestion. I would be absolutely in favor of the Scholastic Bowl. However, given the cost, I think since we are looking at cutting costs right now, we're having a discussion tonight, I would suggest tabling that until we've had a chance to look at some of the other costs in our district and make a decision based on some of the areas that we want to make cuts. So at this time, I would suggest that we put the baseball and softball off, not eliminate the discussion altogether, but just in terms of, I think we should look at it in the context of other things that we're thinking about getting rid of, given how much it costs. The Scholastic Bowl, I think, is, you know, a lot of bang for our buck. I think that's a great program for our kids, and I think that that would certainly bring a lot of good press for our district. That's all.
So if I'm understanding you, Steve, you would like to amend the motion to approve the Scholastic Bowl and then table approval of baseball and softball until after K tonight?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Whoever's motion that was, would support that.
So you're saying table this and let this be a discussion after
K.
later on in the agenda. So you want to oppose to that?
So whoever made the motion will have to withdraw it or can you table it?
All right, I will table the motion until after K. Let's move forward. Okay, so I guess we won't do either MOU for the baseball and softball. Let's move forward to the discussion of school fees.
Yes. Ms. Labella, would you please go through our school fees with the board?
Once again, we did a survey, quick survey of the schools around us, and that was attached to your information there. As you can see from the information that we had, for the most part, we are higher than most districts, with the exception of Homewood and 3. We're a little bit lower than they are, but pretty comparable. Our payments, right now, we're collecting, and that's always becomes that, you know, at what point does it become too difficult for families to make those payments? And so given how we stand in the neighboring communities, our recommendation is to hold tight on those fees. Remember, it's a really very small part of your revenue stream anyway, and you kind of hit that point of diminishing returns. So our recommendation at this point is to hold them for this year. And again, this is for your consideration. We'll bring it back as an action item in the April board meeting. Question?
So this is just a discussion item for
Just
tonight?
discussion. We don't have a cow this month, so you know, I didn't want to put it for action if you could do so, but I for information for action in April for your consideration.
Are there any questions? No, thank you, Ms. Labella. Next on the agenda is discussion of possible expenditure reductions. Mr. Duster?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so at the last meeting, we've got reductions to the Board of Education. If you remember at last year's budget, or for this fiscal year's budget, there was a list of things to consider back in September in regards to things we need to look at for budget reductions. So we went through this list, and it's been categorized in levels 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 is many of it. There's some sacred cows in there. Some of it, though, is real easy, low-hanging fruit like attrition. There's the bus routes, things of that nature that we can discuss. One of the sacred cows that's in there is the outdoor education program. And what we would like to know from the Board of Education at this time, I don't think we need to get into level 2 and 3, my suggestion to the board. So if you wanted to look at level 1 and to start, let us know what you would like to take off of there so that we can insert this into the budget as we're preparing for that at this time.
How much does level 1, all the level 1 suggested reductions results in?
About, is it 1.1 million?
1.12.
It's difficult for me to make a determination about anything level 1, level 2, level 3, because everything is intermingled. Then we have it where, right, it's not where these are the level 1 suggestions, these are level 2, these are level 3.
We have the PowerPoint is all that we have. We have the spreadsheet. Is that
right? But that has everything intermingled.
You want an extra one? Did you get one of these?
I didn't get that. I don't need paper. No.
Okay.
I think,
okay.
My life was set up with one else. We can take this spreadsheet and then sub-organize it by levels 1, 2, and 3 as opposed to alphabetical listings or something where it's.
Or you know what, Steve, if you have your paper, it's kind of easy to, if we just cross off the level 3 and level 2, since we're not considering those. Is that what you're saying?
I'm suggesting that.
So if we, because I'm looking at it, and if you just cross off the level 2 and level 3 items, then that kind of.
I'm not sure. There's one.
Those are done by function numbers.
Right. I haven't heard of this.
Or we can just.
Fran, is it a way of doing that?
I'm thinking about that, because I have those total. There is, but it's going to take me a few minutes to run it.
My thought would be to look at the PowerPoint and go through it. Let me see. On the PowerPoint, if you look at that example page 9. Okay, instructional education.
PowerPoint page 9 is purchase services per pupil.
Yeah, that's purchase services.
Okay, it's 9 on here, so go one more.
What's the title of the one you want?
Instructional education.
Oh.
Okay, so once you're there, it'll say on the right side if it's a level 1, 2, or 3. Would you like to go through this in that manner?
I think this is good.
I don't want a motion first because I don't know if we're ready to vote on all of these. I have some that I'm fine with doing tonight and some I'd like further discussion.
So can we do this, Mr. President?
I'm sorry?
Look at the first one, and then have a motion on that one. Then look at the next level one, and then have a motion on that one. Because I don't think they're gonna go all, it's not an all or none proposition.
Right.
Will that work?
I'm okay with that. I think it would be a little easier to just, can we just say what we
Say no to?
say no to?
Okay.
Maybe that'll be easier. Is everybody comfortable? Does everyone know what they're,
Of the level 1s.
of the level 1s, which one you would like further discussion?
So you're saying we go through, like the first one, for example, level 1, okay, if the board says yes, then we can write a yes. If it's no, what do you see the motion?
So no, I'm just saying we're just having a general discussion right now. So for me, I'm looking at level 1 responses. So the first one was the reductions through attrition. I'm okay with that. Right? Is anybody opposed to that?
I'm okay with that too, but is this 213,959, is that this year's savings or over?
No, it'd be next year's.
Next
In 1 year.
In 1 year.
In 1 year.
Okay. All right.
Correct?
And 1 year is the 2015-2016 budget?
So what I'll do, I'll mark them here too.
Okay, so now that I look at these against each other, we're really doing what you suggested, Mr. Duster. Going through the PowerPoint, you're hitting all the ones, the level 1s. So then you go 2-3 pages down, you're at the next level 1, instructional education, so outdoor ed.
Yeah, just clarify, you're going through the PowerPoint and not the materials that were in our packet. I can look at
The
either.
PowerPoint.
They should mimic each other. They should go in exactly the same order. So whether you're using an Excel spreadsheet or you're using the PowerPoint presentation, they should go in the same order.
The Excel spreadsheet just has more
There's
specific
more
line items.
details in the spreadsheet, that's why I'm wondering if you're planning on going item by item through the specifics. The spreadsheet,
I'm sorry?
you're planning on going item by item through all the specifics?
No, we're going item by item to the level
Just
1s.
level 1.
The aggregates.
Thank you. And the PowerPoint.
So the next one will be instructional education. And it would be the Iron Oaks outdoor education. 26,000. No, okay.
Yes and no.
Okay, so that's a no.
All right, so what that means, we'll continue with outdoor education for next year. Okay?
I'm sorry, did we just start with outdoor ed?
No, we started with the reductions to attrition. And that was a yes.
That was a yes.
I'm marking here.
And I think so that's what makes it difficult. When we're talking, she can't hear us over here. We have to make sure when we start talking like this, you can't get what exactly. I can see that you're at the disadvantage over there. All right, so the first one. You got the first one, Kat?
I got the first one with the attrition, and that was the 213,000. And the next page is the instructional coach.
Only the level 1s.
We're only doing the level 1.
I understand now, okay. All right, so that's the outdoor ed, gotcha.
So that was the outdoor ed was the next.
Okay, that's a no.
Okay. So then the next one will be removing the new curriculum from the operating budget and implementing a system whereby large ticket items such as new curriculum is purchased through cash balances.
Yes.
And that's,
I'm fine with that.
Can I just ask, how is that a savings overall in terms of?
Here's the way I was looking at it when I kind of came up with this little brainstorm. There are certain things that we don't do every single year.
Right.
For example, a parking lot at Normandy Bill, which you decided to do out of your cash balances. For example, a curriculum line, which generally you only do every 10 years or so, okay? If what we're looking at is our complete operating expenses, we want to take a look at, I consider these kinds of things that in dire straits, should we not have the money to do it, could just be eliminated and really not harm operations.
Okay.
So my concern to this was these are things that you're still going to want to do or want to consider. That should I not place it in what we'll call the operating budget, but set it someplace else that says, you know what, there's a really good chance that we're going to want to do this, and we're really okay with using our savings account, if you will, to pay for it. But if something happens and the state says we're about to slap $2 million off of your state funds, we can say, no, we're not going to do that. That these line items would require a special board approval.
Okay, I get that, and I think that's a great idea. Just in terms of the 130, again, is that something that we were planning?
That's a number right now that I currently have in your operating budget for any new curriculum. You haven't touched the science here, I'll be perfectly honest with you. The administration hasn't come to you with any new curricular items for that amount of money. So that's just kind of where that number came from, because that's what's sitting in there right now.
This is your savings account.
Okay, all right.
So everyone's okay with that, so that one's a yes. Okay, the next one is reduced workbook budget to closer reflect actual expenses. So this is the
Now, these are our actual workbooks. These are things that we are currently purchasing. However, because we're starting to use more digital and less actual workbooks, this line actually is going to come in under budget, and my recommendation is really let's just slash that budget line item to be more in line with what's actually happening.
And actually, I think I mentioned when we were discussing with the CAL is there a way we can even cut this more, because they're not using these workbooks, so is this the lowest we can get?
That I have to turn over to my colleagues. I don't know what's necessary and what's not that they're purchasing.
Dr. Ward?
Every year we do a survey of the principals and the staff of what we are using and what we are not using, and so we ask our kindergarten teachers what have we used as far as workbook, and we do that survey and ask to get input of the teachers of what we have used before we use the books at the beginning of every year.
Is anyone opposed to that?
No, I don't.
Going?
That sounds great, and not to delay the conversation, but is this going to reflect in a higher Xeroxing bill? Because
We have seen some higher because of using some of these other resources that teachers are finding elsewhere. But I tend to think we're going to see that across the board right now, period, because there's not a whole lot, as you've heard, we don't have very many texts out there that are, Illinois state standards aligned. So right now, curriculum's a struggle.
I just like to keep an eye. I know you say you do a survey in here. Let's just make sure we're taking it really and express to the principals and the teachers how important it is that we get a really accurate idea of what they're using and what they're not using. Just know what I see.
So no one has a problem with that one going. The next one is the band instruments. I'm okay if you can assure me that you have the new instruments. You bought new instruments. You have good working instruments now.
I cannot speak to what they are, but the orchestra still believes that, they need going forward. I do know that we have purchased new instruments for the last 2 years, correct? Last year and this year. Yeah. And we've spent about $5,000 per year for both band and orchestra.
So this would be a freeze on band instruments.
Right.
Did someone have a conversation with them and say this is what we're thinking about doing and get their feedback on that?
I'm not sure their feedback's going to be anything else.
I know, but I'm just, did anyone have that conversation with them to at least, no?
No, there's been no conversation.
Okay.
This,
Because they might have said, you know what, you're right, we don't need any new ones.
well, I mentioned that we could, if it came push to the shove, we needed a new tuba, that they would say, this one is a dent, we need a new tuba.
and if that would be the case, we'd bring that forward.
And so I will put this in terms of we're instituting a freeze, or
Yeah,
something,
freeze.
getting rid of something. Is everyone okay with freezing purchases of band instruments right now?
Yes.
All right. So the next one is special education. Anybody had any comments around special education?
I'll tell you this, that it was based on current projections. We're watching the domains that are being completed. If new children are added, by law, we can't exceed a special education teacher with a caseload of 20 for a resource teacher. So
It's not
based
going
on,
to fluctuate.
yeah. If new children come, or if some, but this is just based on current projections with the domains added in, that there could have been more domains added since these were done.
And truth be told, really, the very first item that you did is also based on projected enrollment. Should all of a sudden I get 50 more kindergartners than we were anticipating, then, some of that attrition is going to have to go out the window. We will continue to monitor enrollment.
But it wasn't based on 20 projected per teacher.
So Nancy, you know my question. I know we can only have a certain number in the classroom, but we've had this conversation about combining grades.
This is
not that.
This is only resource.
Okay.
Instructional was
All right.
attached.
Okay.
Instructional is.
I know you told me that. I just have to hear you say it and give it in a minute.
No,
yet
it's the
again.
same.
Okay.
I just want to say personally, this is one I am uncomfortable with just because of my lack of knowledge. I really defer to the experts in the room on this one. So I am leaning on your judgment. I don't want to get this one wrong.
I will guarantee you that Mrs. Wilson looks to be meek and mild, but when it comes to her caseload, she's really very aggressive.
And you know, historically,
So if the numbers get up there, we will fund the resources.
and we've never started a teacher with 20. It's usually right around 15, even the projections are right there for a caseload for a teacher.
You know, it kind of reminded me is the special ed professional that's in there, whether they're a TA or a teacher, do they work only with that child, or is it that they work with the child, but they also add to the overall experience of the classroom?
It depends on maybe the intervention that they're doing. It might be appropriate for other children, and they would work with additional children.
Okay, because my only, this sounds like, you know, I certainly trust you. My only concern would be I wouldn't want, you know, this person not to be replaced and have it turn out that that actually was an essential fixture in the classroom that is somehow now affecting the dynamics for other kids.
But this is, I can't remember the total exact numbers, but I want to say in 8th grade there was close to 40 children that had graduated, and the number replacing that was maybe 15.
Sure.
You know, that's the reality. There's less. You know, if it comes up from the bottom up and fills in again, but right now, you know, that's a number that I know off the top of my head.
Okay.
I would be okay with not leaving this on the table, but not making this decision right now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm comfortable making it now based on what the projections are on attrition. I don't think we need to hold off on it.
Who else is comfortable making the decision
I just have
now?
another question for Ms.
You're
Wilson.
comfortable making the decision? You're comfortable making the decision now?
I have another question.
Go ahead.
I have another question for when you finish taking your.
No, I got it.
So, Nancy, which students are we talking about with this line item? Students that receive what?
The resource services, so children that are mainly in general education with resource support.
What supports are they getting?
Reading, math.
Certain programs, I know I asked you this before, so is it students that are receiving this particular intervention or that particular?
It depends on their educational plan. You know, it's all different.
Well,
It might be push-in minutes within the classroom. It might be pull-out services. It's all dependent on the individual child.
Okay, so right now, how many staff, what staff do you have providing this service at each school? So you have one person at each school doing this? Okay.
So
that's
say, and it's fluctuating. Right now, let me go alphabetically. Flossmoor Hills has 2 resource teachers.
Okay, and those 2 teachers, let's just use them as an example.
Okay.
Those 2 teachers are either pulling out or pushing in for students, and these are certified staff people, not, I know they're
certified.
Okay, they're either pulling out or pushing in math or reading with
possibly writing.
With students as identified in their IEPs.
Correct.
And what you're telling us is, right now, because of the number of students that you foresee receiving those services, so at Flossmoor Hills, 1 certified staff person will be able to provide all of the services? No, do I have that wrong?
1.5. And then Heather Hill, because the numbers are higher, there's only 1 teacher there, it would be another 0.5 teacher there to equalize it out.
Well, we'll say that again.
Okay, so the numbers, just projections at Flossmoor Hills, it would need 2 full-time teachers. We were looking at 1.5.
So they have 2 now?
They have 2 now.
And they're going to need 2?
No,
Okay.
1.5.
Okay.
1.5.
Okay.
Heather Hill has 1 right now.
Okay.
But they need an additional 0.5 because of the numbers there.
Okay, so right now we're reducing, so that's a wash.
That's a wash.
With those 2
That's
students.
a wash.
Okay.
Okay, so Heather Hill, Serena Hills has 2 teachers.
Okay.
Okay, and their numbers are projected to need 2 again.
Okay.
Western Avenue has 2 full-time teachers. Their projection for next year, I want to say their total is 15 students, so that would be 1.5. They have 2 full-time, so really we have an extra 0.5 somewhere to see where the need is the greatest. Then in Parker, it's 1 less teacher.
Okay, wait, before we go to Parker,
Okay.
the recommendation is to remove,
Yeah,
is to
we
reduce
just
by.
lost Marshall's went up again from the last time we spoke
Say it
to
again.
now.
Just to say it again.
We actually increased a half just recently because we have more domains that are coming up. So we are actually less 1. And this is where this is going to be a moving number. Our recommendation is what the projected enrollments are. And those numbers are still changing, which is why I can say to Mr. Lunsford, trust me, she's not going to let me get away with cutting 2 if she needs, you know, she needs another half. And what she's saying to you is exactly what's happening. She's got more kids who are now coming up for evaluation and domain meetings that she needs another half teacher. So that 2 is already down to 1 half.
So rather than put this in and say we're changing this number, why don't we, my 1 person recommendation is, in this area, whatever Nancy says she needs, that's what she's gonna get.
Thank you.
No, I'm saying. And I'm saying
That's what I'm saying. You know, you gotta watch these numbers where you say, this is what we're cutting. Like I said, you know what, we haven't even done kindergarten roundup yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know, my numbers are based on live birth data.
Right.
And they could be right on, and they could be real wrong. We don't know until they come. However, this I do know. If I don't see them at the door yet, I'm certainly not going to recommend that you hire a teacher for kids that I'm not sure are going to be here. We'll wait till they come, then we'll make the recommendation for hire.
But the only place that you see that is half a teacher at half a teacher.
Well, right now,
At Western Avenue.
right now it's 1.5. Special ed at the elementary, not 2. It's 1.5. 1 down at Western Avenue, half between,
One Western.
half of Western, half of Buzzard Hills.
And then.
But that half is more than Heather.
Right, so again, these numbers are still in flux and they continue to change right now because we're in the middle of IEP season.
Right. All right. I don't know.
Okay, so I know we had 3 that said they're okay now.
It is.
Where are we in terms of the board? Who's fine?
I'm fine with saying, yeah, and certainly it's going to achieve the changes.
Okay. So the majority of the board is fine, so we'll say yes to that. The next one is the paraprofessionals related to special education expense. Same story?
Well, these are students that are actually leaving us no longer today.
And they have 120s.
Okay, so they're leaving. We no longer need to support. Is everyone okay with that one?
Yes.
Yes? Yes, okay. So the next level 1 would be district provided lunch for wellness day.
Yes, we can find a vendor to
donate.
Wait, I haven't got it yet.
But this, the lunch is for the teachers, right?
I know.
Lunch is for the teachers.
Okay, so we would like to still give them lunch if you can't find someone. But my preference is that you find someone to donate.
Mr. Lunsford.
This 2160.
You make a mean spaghetti, don't you?
I do.
Okay.
So this is a yes, but if he doesn't find someone to donate, then we're going to do something.
Come back to us.
Yeah, come back. We'll try to find.
Yes, please.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yes. Teachers and the half.
That's right.
Okay, the next one is the mentor coordinator position, I believe.
Yes.
Is that important for another structure?
Everyone fine with that? Everyone's okay with that?
Yeah, this is you can just do it in-house now, right? Tell me again.
It is.
She went to do this.
Right.
I'm not suggesting, I mean, right now it's currently at $16,000. My suggestion was to make it a stipend position at $10,000. This is what you're willing to pay for the service is $10,000. If they still want to split it, that's really their call,
Okay.
but that $10,000 is our max.
Okay.
Okay with that? That's a yes to that one. Next one up is the reduced professional development not paid through grants.
All for that.
Okay. Sounds like we have a yes. You have a yes for that one? Ms. Paredes?
I have a question. So does this grant money figure into our budget? And is this part of, the grant money is this part of our?
It is, however, you need to know that for Title I, well, for Title II, it's all professional development. There's nothing else you can spend it on. And number two, for Title I, there is a piece of that grant that is required professional development. And that's what's equaling at $400,000.
So the 20,000 what we were paying outside of that.
Right.
The next one is the reduced 2 FTE for technology aids. I'm not sure about this one.
So we have one in each building now, right, Fran?
Correct.
And so the recommendation is to have one person share 2 schools.
My recommendation, sort of. The technology department has kind of 2 levels of support, if you will. Those with some pretty heavy technical expertise are being used around the entire district. And there are 3 of them besides your tech director. And then you have 1 tech aide in each building.
Okay.
And their level of expertise across the board is not nearly as high as those in the tech department. So, I mean, really, they were computer lab aides, and their titles have kind of morphed as all the technology you put in has increased. There are a few of them who still just aren't as high as we need it.
But what they're doing, if I understand correctly, is because we had them in the buildings long before we moved into this tech-savvy world. And so when the kids are going to
You know what, and here's the
computer,
thing, before we go any further, let me do this. After, this was brought up there has been some other information that was brought to me from other people, some other principals, who question this based on what they need to do in their buildings and how they're going to cover teacher plan. I would prefer that you table this one until we can get more concrete information, to be honest with you, because I'm not 100% comfortable with my own recommendation at this point.
Okay, so let's table that one. And Fran, can you let us know when you come back on this one?
Absolutely, I will let you know. I need to do a little more research on this one, because like I said, sometimes I get conflicting.
I'm also curious, if we're trying to go to a bring your own device environment, do we have the right things in place to do that?
That's a much larger conversation. Yes.
So we're tabling the technology aids. The next one is tri-conference expenses, total expenses.
so I'm not in support of that.
No.
I support.
That's a no. Okay. The next one is Teacher Institute Day at Prairie State. Where would you hold it?
Well, for next year's budget, we are not going to have a gathering of all of our staff. We're going to go directly to the buildings. We'll work with the principals on the first day. The second day, we'll be working on curriculum. So we won't need it for next year. We may have to revisit this next year. As far as the warm temperatures, that'll be up to the cooling places in the buildings.
So you would be a comfortable place in the building.
Yes.
The year that you had it at Parker, it must have been the hottest day of the year.
I think it was.
It was a disaster. I did not
one for next year. The following year, we may need to go back there, and that's what we bring to the board.
So that's a yes? So yes, that's a yes, Kathy. Okay. The next level one is bring the buses near capacity. Did we just take it?
We just said we're gonna get more information.
We're gonna get more information. Okay, so that's a table.
I would say the 13 routes there, though, it's not going to be that much. What I have on the table tonight, that'll be more accurate. It was being very aggressive with 13 routes. We could do it.
Okay, and then the last one was the Just for Blue Point alert system. Can you explain this one to us again, Mr. Duster, what we're doing here?
This is what we paid for install last year. We don't have that for the next fiscal year's budget. So
it's a non-recurring item?
Yes.
So why are we approving anything? It won't reoccur?
Because it won't be in the budget.
Okay, so we're just saying not to put it in the budget?
We'll knock out $8 grand out of the budget because now
yeah, that's a yes for me.
That one's a hard one.
So, I have a question, Mr. President.
Yes.
I guess I don't understand the rationale, or maybe Mr. Dudley can explain why we're not looking at any of the 3s at this point. Because I know there were some in particular that I thought we could have a conversation about. I'm wondering why we're not doing that.
The ones are farthest away from the students. 2s are closer and 3s are closer than that, actually. So, I want to go through next to see what the dollar amount is. I'm sure we have that already going on. But you'll be able to tell with what has been suggested how much money has been reduced thus far.
Right. Well, I guess specifically I'm referring to the technology stipend. I would like to have a conversation about that.
Okay.
So maybe some of the other 2s and 3s nobody has a problem with, but I have a real issue with this stipend. So, Mr. President, that's one that I would like to discuss today, and that may be one we can move forward.
Anybody want to discuss that today, table it later?
We can discuss it.
Okay.
So,
What about the rest of the board?
About what page is that?
they're not numbered, it says technology.
It's like almost at the end.
Yep, and it says explanation, eliminate stipend for technology staff development. It's level 3. The stipend covers an educational expert. This covers, actually that's a typo.
Last number is
13,500.
Yeah. So my understanding that was a stipend that we're paying to one of our staff people for work that's being done to do the job that we hired them to do, but because they're doing it outside of 9 to 5. And I see that the suggestion was that we can eliminate this by having a flexible schedule for that particular employee. If that's going to save us $13, so if we tell this employee $13,000, so if the employee has to do a 2-hour parent seminar in the afternoon, then instead of paying them to do that, tell them they can come at 11 o'clock that day, right?
What happens is that there's a dollar amount for the session that takes place, and that's $500 for the session. That is preparing for that, doing all the planning, and then teaching of that.
But isn't that the job that the person was hired to do?
There's other.
Take it out. Eliminate it.
But we're not talking about it, so we're leaving it in because it's a level 3.
No, we haven't got to level 2.
We're just not addressing it today.
No, we're not taking it out. So when are we going to take that out? If we don't take it out now, it's going to go in our budget, right, Frank? So next year, we're going to be paying that $13,000.
No.
Fran is saying yes, so which one is it?
Wait, maybe a better question is, when are we going to discuss the level 2 and level 3? If we're doing level 1 tonight, is that like in April
Or the level 1s cover the gap in state funding? Because
What I was hearing was level 1, you were giving me yes or no, and then the rest of it is staying put and I'm moving forward.
That's correct.
No.
No, that was my understanding, so let's clear up our understanding here.
So
my understanding was we had to find a way to fill a potential gap of $800,000 in state aid.
And by not addressing the 2s and 3s, you're going to leave them in the budget for next year, right? So this $13,000 that we're paying this employee as a stipend, we would be paying that in 15-16. I don't want to pay this $13,404.
And the assumption that the budget is approved at that point in time.
You're gonna put it in the budget, right? So now I have to go through and rather than decide whether or not we want to pay that now and just not put it in there, you put it in there and then we have to go through the budget line by line and I have to pick out this $13,000 or anything else that I don't think that we should be paying, as opposed to just doing it now what we have in front of us. I don't understand what the difference is.
Let me ask a question. When is the next fiscal year's budget submitted for approval?
Official approval?
Yes.
September.
So
To the state.
it's the next board, whatever that looks like, that will ultimately approve the budget.
Then the next board can approve all the rest of these. So why are we doing all the ones now? It's the same difference, right, Rand?
I think the reason why you're looking at it now is because, well, from a purely selfish perspective, I have to build this thing. And you're all going to expect to see it on May 26th.
Exactly.
So I need to know what I'm building and what I'm not.
But there's nothing to say that the
But
next
there's
board
nothing
won't
to say that when
direct
I
you to
present
go
May
back
26th, that I get a different direction.
and
from
readdress any or all of these and any or all of 136 other items.
It would be my hope that that would be addressed in May or June, so that I would have the summer to make that correction, because come August, it's almost too late, and need to approve that in September.
Right, and I feel
I
like
need to have a majority that will approve in September, otherwise that will be a problem for us. So that's why I bring tentative budget in May, so that we have that time for which to make those decisions and for me to tune up that budget for time.
And I think what we're doing is we're playing a game. If we say, you know, we can talk about the ones now with this board, but the 2s and 3s, we're gonna wait and have the other board decide. The new board, I don't imagine that your plan is to sit down with the new board and go through this page by page. If that's the case, then we just wasted the time we spent today and the time we spent at the CAP. Either this board is going through it and making what kind of is like recommendations for the new board, or this is an exercise in futility, we shouldn't have done any of this. And my position is, aside from the level 1s, there's one in particular that I do not support continuing, and if 4 out of 7 people agree with me, it's something that Fran doesn't put in the budget moving forward, as opposed to not talking about it now, putting it in the budget, and then the new board either has to find it or not.
Well, I would prefer not to single out a level 2.
It's a level 3.
I mean, a level.
Then let's go through them all.
Wait, is it a level 2 or a level 3? I don't know.
It's a 3.
Okay. Do we want to talk about level 2s next month?
Next week or
Next month. Next month when we meet in
I think
in April. It's getting a little late right now.
I think that if we don't talk about level 2 and level 3 tonight, we definitely should have a very clear timeline in the very near future. And since there's actually, I think, less level 1s and level 3s, maybe we could agree that we will definitely talk about this in April. Does that seem?
Can I just interject here a little bit, because with all due respect, if you put off till April, you've got an awful lot of people doing interviews right now, and an awful lot of people who are applying for jobs that may or may not exist if you don't deal with this issue now.
Okay, then I think we need to do it now. I think we've, as Langston has said, we've gone through this whole process. I think we just have to finish it. You know, and then of course, absolutely, you know, the summer comes, our needs look different, enrollment may change.
Well, but I just want to be careful. I want to cut fat, I don't want to cut muscle.
I understand.
Right, and level 2s and 3s, you know, what we asked to do, we asked the administration to come back and give us tonight is the low-hanging fruit. Stuff, if we weren't presented with a challenge by the state, we need to cut anyway. I think level 2s and 3s require a little bit more thought than us going through the way we did with the 1s. Because we could mistakenly cut muscle. And I want to be very careful about that.
So when do we have the conversation?
I think that
determine muscle effect.
I think that I understand the categorization that Mr. Doster has given us, which is level 1 is the low-hanging fruit. But there is a level 3 here that is food for something, food for some things. So I don't know that all of the 2s and 3s are the muscle. And we didn't talk about it because it was a level 2. And I think that if we go through it, if we get hung up on something, we can table it just like we did, just like we tabled the transportation. If it's something that we think that we need more discussion and more information about, then table it. But there are some things that I believe that we can get through that won't take it. I think here it is, level 2, district administration, food for 2 buildings for American Education Week. That's what it says, level 2. That's low hanging fruit.
Well, there are level 2 and 3 items that are part of our strategic planning discussion, because we're going to have a meeting next week. Will we be talking about the same things as part of that meeting?
No.
Okay.
No. This was my understanding, that we would bring things to close the gap for next year, close enough to close it. Then the strategic plan, I would imagine finance would be one of the goals for the Board of Education. We would work at continuing over the next 5 years, closing the gap for that. So I thought that was to be built in there.
I really understood this as we're going to look at every possibility. The administration would put commentary about what they thought was level 1, 2, or 3, and then we would make considerations. I understand your point, and I think it's an excellent point. We don't want to cut into muscle, but I think as we're discussing it, and we're really putting everything into the microscope, and on the table, I think we should.
Right, that employee that you're talking about, could we flex that employee's hours? We could, but that employee has more work to do than just, it's not about presenting, there's running different things throughout the district in regards to Odyssey, for example. That's something the person assists with math testing. There's different functions of that nature. The person assists with modeling for our instructional coaches. So there's more to it than that. So the additional work that's being done as far as helping our staff to become more effective with digital tools, that is what that stipend is for. That's why it was brought to the board a couple years ago to assist with that.
And the point that I made when we had this conversation with Cal was, if you ask any of our teachers or any of our principals, they will tell you that they are doing work outside of their regular job, and we're not giving them a stipend. We're not saying to them, here's this new thing you have to implement, teacher. We're going to pay you $13,000 to learn how to do this for your classroom. We say, teacher, you have to do this. We're going to give you some support, and we're going to pay you the salary that we contracted with you to pay. So my position is, as a professional, you are hired to do a job, and you do that job, and we don't penny, oh, you had to work an extra hour, here's $500, you had to do this, this is the job. And if the job entails doing A through Z for this salary, you do A through Z for that salary. And if you don't want to, then maybe that's not the job for you. Because I can ask any of these teachers how much money they would like for what they do that's extra. Or any of these principals, when I see their cars outside at 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
And on the weekends.
This one person is not greater than the sum of the parts. That's just my opinion.
When staff do extra things, let's say we have a teacher, for example, who teaches a class in FIU, they are paid to do that.
but they come in on the weekends and and they decide, okay, I need to do additional things. We don't give them a stipend for doing that.
And
our principals are here on the weekends, and at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, we don't give them a stipend for doing their job. That's what it takes to do their job, and they're committed to it, and they want to get it done, so they do it.
Right.
We don't pay you extra stipends for staying here until, 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the morning after we're gone.
Okay, so is this the issue? Because we could just end this now. Who's in favor of the stipend and who's not in favor of the stipend? So,
I would like to see the stipend cut.
okay, who's in favor of eliminating the stipend? This particular stipend. Okay, so elimination of the stipend. Is there any other issue?
Well, that's just one that I pointed out. I don't know if anybody else.
There are other ones, but how are we going to proceed with the rest of them?
You want to do them in April?
Because there's the $15,000 STEM default support that we talked about at the CAL that has been shown not to result, and we're paying $15,000 a year for that.
Can we do another round? Okay, because the line item was potential for discussion, and it seems like some of these are still discussions and some of these are approvals.
Yeah.
Yes, can you read back what we said yes to, what we say no to, so we can have a motion for those?
Okay. Are we going to take them individually? Or are we going to vote up and down on the ones that you think
Well, it sounds like we agreed on all of them except stipend.
I'm sorry?
There's a couple of ones in the table.
Did you add one?
I would like to see if we're going to do it this way. I would suggest going up and down individually. That's fine. It makes it more clear.
Okay, so Kathy, can you call them, do a roll call? Well, we need a motion.
Okay.
So we have the motion every time we go through one.
That's fine.
Okay, so we're going to start with the instructional education. You pull that out.
Okay.
So the first one is instructional education and reduction of regular education teaching staff, reduction through attrition, and savings of $213,959.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation to eliminate this line item as made by administration. Mr. Paredes, is there a second? Mrs. Odom, roll call please, Kathy.
Okay, Paredes?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Langston?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yeah.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes.
Okay. So we'll just do it.
Outdoor education selection.
Right. Okay. the
I'll
outdoor
entertain a motion to keep outdoor ed as it currently stands.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Odom and Langston. Well, hold on. I want to change that. Make a motion to accept the recommendation made by the administration to eliminate outdoor ed. No, are you recommending to keep or to eliminate?
Right, he's recommending that we eliminate, so he needs a motion to support that.
Right. So, we can, okay, Mr. Paredes?
I don't know if there's a recommendation to eliminate.
There's no recommendation.
Then why is it on the list?
It says elimination
Potential
of
cuts.
outdoor education.
Right.
Right. It was, administration was directed to find possible areas to reduce budget.
Right.
And they categorize them as 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Right.
I don't interpret that as recommendations on what to do, only to foster and facilitate discussion amongst the board.
The memo says, from the administration recommends that the board discuss and possibly approve. Okay? So is this a recommendation to approve these?
When we brought these, you're exactly right, with Mr. Simmons. So the recommendation in that would be, the discussion would take place, and then whatever was supported, that would be the recommendation.
So we'll keep the original motion, which is the recommendation to keep outdoor ed. Okay, Mrs. Odom, and Mr. Paredes, and Mrs. Odom, and a roll call, please.
Okay, and Mrs. Odom making the motion and Mrs. Langston seconding it?
Mr. Paredes.
Mr. Paredes.
Mr. Paredes seconded it, okay. Okay, Langston?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes.
So what that means is that outdoor ed stays the same as it is. Yep.
Okay, what's the next one, Kathy?
The next one is just the next page, which is eliminate the new curriculum adoption line.
I'll entertain a motion to eliminate the curriculum adoption line as recommended by our administration.
So moved.
Okay, Ms. Owen. Second, Mrs. Langston. Roll call, Kathy.
Okay, Langston?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes. When you're ready,
The
Kathy.
next one is the workbooks, which is the next line.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation to reduce the number of workbooks.
Funny how now they do recommendations, again, but
Right.
one, there was a problem.
Okay, let's continue. That is the motion?
Yes.
Okay, second? I'll second. Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, who motion?
Grace.
Steve.
Okay, Odom?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Langston?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes.
Okay, the next one is eliminate the band and orchestra instruments.
Limited section. I'll entertain a motion to freeze the purchase of band equipment.
So moved.
Mrs. Odom, Mr. Paredes was second. Ms. Carino, whenever you're ready, can we have a roll call, please?
Okay, Marks?
No.
Odom?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Langston?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes.
The next one is the reduction of special ed teaching staff.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation from the administration to reduce the number of special ed teaching staff by 2 FTE at elementary and 1 at Parker Junior High.
Can I just amend that?
Go ahead.
It's actually down to 1.5, right?
And I would amend it to go as enrollment required.
Okay. Accept the recommendation to amend FTE as enrollment requires. That's the motion.
Then why do we need a motion if we do that anyway?
Can we just leave it?
Let's just keep going.
Nonsensical.
Let's just vote. That's it.
If you don't agree, just vote.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Paredes. Mrs. Odom? Okay, roll call please, Kathy.
Okay, Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Langston?
No.
Lunsford?
No, the motion passes.
Okay, and the next one is reduction of 3 FTEs.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation from the administration to reduce 3 FTEs related to special education paraprofessionals.
So moved.
Okay, so Ms. Odom and Mrs. Langston?
No, no.
No?
It,
Okay, Mrs. Odom, is there a second?
This is a one-on-one. This is
These are one-on-one.
right, so which is why I was gonna change the motion to be specific that the motion would be that any for any one-to-one for a student that's leaving. I mean, like.
No, that makes sense.
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, you're gonna be given a reduction in wages. Because that's what this is gonna be.
Yeah, because.
And then they have callback.
And then they have callback.
Okay, so
let's.
the motion is to reduce the number of paraprofessional FTE as needed.
Per enrollment.
Per enrollment, correct. Per enrollment and needs. Mr. Motion, can you make the motion? Okay, is there a second?
Yes.
Mrs. Odom, roll call, please.
I'm going to pray to vote him first.
Okay, Simmons,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Langston,
No.
Harold, excuse me, Lunsford,
No, the motion passes. Next one
okay,
is,
now we're in health services.
okay, lunch for wellness day. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to eliminate the expenditure for lunch for wellness day as suggested by the administration.
So moved.
Mrs. Odom, is there a second? Mr. Paredes, so roll call please, Kathy.
Paredes,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Langston,
Yes, for the donation.
Simmons,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, but get a donation. Motion passes.
But that's, there's no donation.
Come back to
Go
us.
back.
We're going to be eating pork and beans, you guys.
Okay, the next is improvement of instruction, mentor coordinator.
Okay, so it's reduced the mentor coordinator's position from 2 hourly positions to 1 stipend position. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation made by the administration.
So moved.
Okay, Mrs. Odom, is there a second? Mr. Simmons, second. Roll call, please.
Marks,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Langston,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, the motion passes.
Okay, the next is
Okay, the next is,
improvement instruction, professional development.
yeah, reduce professional development expenses not paid through grants. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation made by the administration to reduce the professional development exercises not paid for by grants.
So moved.
Mrs. Odom with the motion, Mr. Paredes with the second. We have a roll call, please.
Paredes,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Langston,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, and the motion passes. We're tabling the technology aids. The next one, the next one is the recommendation by I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation by the administration to eliminate hotel charges for the tri-conference.
Yes, I second.
Okay.
There was who made the motion for that?
Mr. Simmons.
Okay.
And the second by Mrs. Marks.
Okay.
Just for discussion purposes, those are hotel expenses. The conference held downtown in Chicago for 2 nights.
Will we receive valuable training?
Oh, I'm not arguing about the charge to attend the conference. I'm saying that the motion is for the hotel rooms for 2 nights.
Yes, go ahead. Roll call, please.
Okay, Langston,
No.
Odom,
No.
Marks.
Could you read the motion back, please?
I thought it was to eliminate the hotel charges for the tri-conference.
Thank you, yes.
Wait, sorry, say that again, just to clarify.
Eliminate the hotel charges for the tri-conference.
Our motion is to eliminate the
Right.
hotel charges for the.
Okay, Paredes,
No.
Simmons,
Yes.
Lunsford,
No, the motion fails. Next is, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation by the administration to eliminate the rental room at Prairie State for Teacher Institute Day. Mr. Simmons and Mrs. Langston. Roll call, please.
okay, Odom,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Langston,
Yes.
Lunsford.
No. Motion passes. The buses we've already done. The last one is to adjust for Blue Point alerts for the Blue Point alert system.
The motion is tabling.
Do we have an add on these numbers so far?
Without, based on what I have here, without the buses for the moment, it would be about 680,000, with the buses will be about another 300,000, if that's what we're saying those crowd eliminations would be. So you're closing in on a million.
Yeah, that's it so far.
So we're tabling the buses, and so we're going to Blue Point. Okay. You ready? Okay, I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation from the administration to take the Blue Point alert system out of the budget as we no longer have recurring expenses related to it. Mrs. Langston and Mr. Paredes. Roll call, please.
Okay, Simmons,
Yes.
Odom,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Langston,
Yes.
Lunsford.
Yes, the motion passes. And the last one is related to the stipend. Which one is this? Which one is it? This one.
Technology.
You know what, can we table that one until after executive session?
No. Let's go.
I move that we eliminate the stipend for technology staff development.
Mr. Paredes seconds.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Mrs. Langston. And let's be clear what the motion is.
I move that we eliminate the $13,404 in stipend for technology staff development. What was explained to me was the stipend given for the after-hours work that's being done. That's my motion.
Okay. And then seconded by Mr. Paredes.
Paredes?
Is the request to table this until after executive session have to do with the personnel discussion?
Yes.
Why wouldn't we want to hear about personnel that might be associated with this before voting?
We are talking about spending money for a stipend. We're talking about reducing our budget so that we can save this money. And I don't know what could be said that would change my mind about why we're spending this money to pay someone to do their job outside of 9 to 5. So are you adding something to what was already being discussed in executive session?
No, a stipend is
I
additional
understand.
to outside of the contract.
And that's why I don't understand why we have to talk about it again after executive session.
I believe that there might be information that the board would receive in executive session that while Mrs. Langston may not be of any use to you, it may be of use to the other members of the board who might want to include it in their decision making. I don't see any problem myself with tabling this until
I think we're stalling.
10 minutes from now.
I mean, if there's something we really need to go in executive session, I don't mind going in executive session. I really would hope that we're not going in executive session just to stall this.
So,
I think that's the intention.
I don't want to table my motion. I would like to have my motion voted up today.
What's going to take place?
Okay, the only thing we can do is, by show of hand, who wants to go in executive session on this issue?
Table this? We're going into executive session anyway.
We don't have to go into executive session on this issue unless the board approves. That's why we take a roll call before we go into executive session, so everyone's okay with going into executive session, not only with going into executive session, but the issues we're going into executive sessions for. So, by show of hands, who wants to take this issue into executive session?
That wasn't my question. My question was whether we would receive information pertaining to this issue regarding personnel, which is already an executive session agenda item.
Okay, fair enough. Is anyone interested in any additional information related to this item that could come up in executive session?
No, because anything that could answer our questions about whether or not we need to keep this or not, we can hear now. So that's just my opinion.
I think if you want to tell us something that's related to personnel, it should be fine, but I still say, I'm not for tabling. I'm for voting no.
Okay.
I mean, certainly, if there's information to be had, you can have it, but I'm 100% comfortable voting no.
Okay, who else is comfortable voting now? Comfortable voting now? So the majority is comfortable voting now. Can we have a roll call, please, Kathy? Once again, can you repeat the motion? We've had a lot of discussion since the motion.
Oh, close my page. All right. So my motion is basically my motion is to eliminate the $13,404 stipend, or just the stipend that we're paying under technology for trainings outside of the normal work day.
Okay, so there was a motion by Mrs. Langston, there was a second by, was it Mr. Paredes to eliminate the stipend? The roll call, please.
Okay, Paredes?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Marks?
No.
Says no. Langston?
Yes.
Simmons?
No.
Rutherford?
Yes, and the motion passes. Okay, so that's it for possible expenditures. We'd like to go back to the discussion on Flossmoor baseball, on baseball and softball and Scholastic ball. Mr. Duster, do you have any comments here?
I have a question going back to the last item. On the 13th of April, we're going to talk about numbers 2 and 3, levels 2 and 3, or are you okay with what we have right now?
I think we
want to talk about 2 and 3
in April, right?
The board wants to talk about 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Duster.
Yes.
May I ask a question, just because we have 2 positions in the special education department. One is a nurse at one of the buildings, which, the person retired at the beginning of February. We have a sub in there 3 days a week now, but we really need to fill that position. The other is a school psychologist. If we wait till April, we might not find anyone. Now is the time.
But she said that this is for the 2015 to 2016.
But it's a difficult position to fill, the school psychologist. Last year we didn't have any luck, and we had a potential candidate that we'd like to interview. But I just want to, why should we go with that if we don't know if there's going to be a position and they're listed at level 2? Just so you're aware.
Board, do you mind addressing that now?
No.
With a motion, that's the nurse, and that is the psychologist.
Why don't we keep them separate? So the psychologist is, basically what you're saying is we need to what is that? Special education?
Health services, I've got, go past instruction, go past gifted, go past attendance.
Oh, health services.
Yes.
Okay, so.
Let's sure the page numbers next time we do something like this.
And then 2 pages behind it is the site. Do you have a way?
So what you're saying, Nancy, is to not replace it with a no coordinator, but keep
No,
it
to
as a
keep a
nurse?
registered nurse in the position. Mrs. Odom, if you weren't, I don't know if you heard some of the statistics that I gave.
Yes.
The number of kids with allergies, asthmas in all the buildings. It's a little difficult to determine where the highest need is to keep an eye on it.
I was already there before you even said anything. I know the value. I had a child with asthma, and yeah, I wouldn't want to
291 children have asthma.
I wouldn't want my child to be with anybody at that time when he's having an attack and it's registered.
So this is a replacement of the one that went.
Right. No, I'm saying I don't agree
So
with
we're not in.
nurse coordinator.
Okay, so, okay, so the motion will be to replace with the nurse, replace the nurse coordinator with the health aide. Right?
No.
No?
No, the motion is to just keep the nurse.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to keep the nurse FTE for the 15-16 school year.
That's my motion.
But choose high.
Keep and hire if there's a vacancy. Okay.
Right.
Okay, Mrs. Odom is making the motion, Mr. Paredes is seconding it. We have a roll call. Kathy?
Okay. Langston?
Yes. Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes.
That's replacement.
Okay, and
And
then,
then psychological services?
okay, so psychological services,
Motion, can she just?
go ahead, Ms.
Before we have a motion, in the past, we had a psychologist. We did two. And now we have one. And with just one, what is happening with our evaluations?
Okay, the evaluations were pretty much were maintained. There's been some additional work outside of our hours for writing reports. Also, the one case manager has picked up some evaluations because she is a school psychologist. The one part we're missing out on is the MTSS and the early intervention services and the data collection of the buildings. The school psychologist last year pretty much oversaw some of that, and that's the part we're not getting this year. Amy and I have pretty much been sharing that this year and covering what we need. But the psychologists and the principals, they've been sharing the meetings. So the psychologists can pick up some of that and still complete the evaluations. You know, to get contractual people to do evaluations for kids for LD, it's really not beneficial to us because you have to set it up within our response to intervention model, so they have to be receiving the interventions in order to qualify. To just hire someone to come in contractually to do that, they really can't. They just don't know the system, and you have to build the right interventions in order for kids to qualify with a learning disability.
And so is it your belief that this is not something that could be permanently transferred to, say, the case manager, and if they know this is part of their job requirement, then they pick this up? No, because,
I don't think so.
and so give me why that won't work.
Why it won't work?
Yes, tell me why that wouldn't work.
I think because we're paying additional to have things, to have the evaluations written. Right
Oh, so
now.
we're paying someone outside
Yes,
to do them?
And we used
Okay.
psychologist.
That's what we need to hear.
We've been paying a neuropsych to come in and do some of the
Okay,
reports.
so instead of paying some outside vendor to
Correct.
do this, we're going to
We've been
hire
using
a
a
person
combination.
that works for us, for our district, to do, so we're already spending this money. We're just going to be paying
Probably
the
not
district
the whole
once it's
salary this year, but it's not the best for the kids.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to retain the post for the psychologist.
So moved.
Mrs. Odom, seconded by Mrs. Langston. Roll call, please. Ms. Perino?
Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Langston?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes. Okay, that should do it. Can you go back to baseball? Softball? Scholastic Bowl?
Does anyone have any position on this? What did you have or have not? Baseball and softball? I'm absolutely for Scholastic Bowl, as I said. Does anyone have a position or an argument why we should have softball and baseball?
I move to approve all three as recommended.
Second.
I'll admit to my bias. I played a lot of baseball growing up. I think it is an excellent sport. I can understand the reasons it's being recommended. To hear our students say positive things, so I will first say I have a bias. And I know we're trying to keep expenses down, but I do think it is in the best interest of the student athletes who happen to perform better in the classroom than regular students. So studies show. In addition to that, I think Ms. Harrell made a very valid point that it is a sense of pride when our kids do well in sports. It reflects well on the school.
Not only that, but to add parity, we have basketball. We've been promoting basketball. Why is basketball the thing that we promote the most? When we have students who are gifted in baseball and softball who can't play basketball or are not interested in basketball. If we're not going to support other sports, then we don't support any sports at all.
My own position would be to make sure that we have, in our selection process, that we have a system in place that is just and fair as we determine who's going to be on these teams.
I would agree.
Mr. Athletic Director.
It cannot be stacked.
No, it can't be. I mean,
No.
it's the best players. I'm saying it's actually the best players.
Then will be fair tryouts.
Right.
We call it in
Yeah,
our
this-
community.
This is not winter training, this is not fall training for Flossmoor baseball.
Exactly.
There will be fair tryouts. Okay, Mr. Simmons has made a motion, was there a second?
That's Mrs. Marks.
Mrs. Marks, roll call please.
Okay, Marks?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Langston?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes. Next we have to look at the memo of understanding for the baseball, softball, and Scholastic Bowl programs. I'll entertain a motion to approve the memo of understanding for those sports. Okay, Mrs. Langston, is there a second? Mrs. Odom, roll call please.
Are we going to have coaching requirements? Are they going to have to know what they're doing?
Well, Mr. Lorenzo is going to do push-ups for us. So. Okay. A roll call, please.
Okay, Marks?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Langston?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes. The motion passes. Okay. Next on the agenda is executive session. We will be going into executive session for matters related to personnel and negotiations. I anticipate we'll be in executive session for 30 minutes where we will return to open session to discuss the personnel report. We have a roll call, please. I'll entertain a motion. I'll make a motion to go into executive session. Is there a second? Mrs. Langston, may we have a roll call, please, Kathy?
Okay, Paredes?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Langston?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, we are in executive session.